Joining me now via Skype is public affairs analyst Adeni Kunu. All right, and he certainly will be having him. But we have Ayodele Adio, the managing editor of Avalon Daily, joining me right now. Ayodele, good morning. Let me start with you. It's nice to have you join me. First of all, how are you coping with the stay-at-home order? I know you're a very busy person, but you're forced to stay at home now. Talk to us about that.
I mean, we have to work, from home now. It's a bit unusual. The usual routine is to leave your house at 5:30 a.m. The usual bustling streets of Lagos. But we're now forced to stay at home and work from home. It's a change that we have to accept for the betterment of the society and to defeat this virus, and it's one that we would happily accept.
All right, the House of Representatives is trying to help Nigerians in so many different ways as a way of helping to ameliorate and palliatives to Nigerians. Now, the bill is being considered to see how electricity bills can be waived for about 2 months. How welcoming is this to you?
Any palliative that would make it easier for Nigerians to go through this difficult period, I think will be welcome. The idea that you will be in your houses and not be able to go around and be stuck in your house and still have to pay electricity bills when most organizations are unable to pay their staff because of the downturn in their businesses, or where self-employed individuals can't go out and earn an income. To now be subjected or with the burden of paying bills, electricity bills for that matter, would be an overkill. So I think it's a step in the right direction that the House of Representatives have decided to pass a bill that insulates people from paying any electricity bill in the next 2 months. And I think it's a welcome idea, even though I think a whole lot more needs to be done to cushion the effect and to stimulate the economy. This is a step in the right direction, and I hope that more will come after.
All right, some analysts have said that it is a welcome development, but considering the impact of the waiver of free electricity for everyone for a period of 2 months, that is going to have an adverse effect in the long run. They were looking at the possibility of reducing, or the option of reducing the cost instead of a full 100% waiver. What do you say?
I start by quoting the famous economists who say in the long run we are all dead. So I think there is no argument for the long run now. What needs to happen is for Nigerians to survive in the short term. The economy would always, sort itself out in the long term. What needs to happen now is that there has to be a cocktail of palliatives that will see Nigeria through this difficult period. Like I said earlier on, taking out electricity bills for 2 months is just one step in a gamut of other things that the government can do to cushion the effect of this. And I like to say this, which is very important. The stiffest challenge we face as a country is poverty and unemployment. And I would argue that the first thing that the House of Representatives should do, and I would still like to see, is that there's a stimulus bill that is passed to ensure that organizations do not sack their staff or do not lose their workers. By that, we save the rising unemployment in our country. So whatever stimulus package that the National Assembly can pass to ensure that organizations can keep the lights on, to ensure that they subsidize these organizations who are unable to make as much profit as possible, I think will be a huge boost in keeping our economy going. And of course, again, like I said, 65% of our economy is informal. It means that most Nigerians are either self-employed or have to go out every single day to earn a living. In that case, it means that there has to be a stimulus package that ensures that cash transfer gets to the house of at least 20 million Nigerians who depend on a daily income. So if you can keep jobs, if you can save jobs, and of course ensure cash transfer to the most vulnerable in the society, and other palliatives like one that you have just listed now, which is electricity bill being taken off your table in the next 2 months, I think will be good enough to keep Nigerian, afloat in the next 2 months.
All right, now looking at that from the cash transfers and all of that, I wonder how challenging you feel that is going to be, considering the fact that there is inadequate data on one hand, and even when it comes to the address to where an average, some of these Nigerians live, you don't find an organized society where you can trace them to a certain address. How challenging do you think that is going to be?
Again, that's a failure of governance over time. The fact that the Nigerian government or subsequent administrations have found it difficult to collect data of Nigerians, I think it's a bit embarrassing for a country as big as ours, especially seeing that we're in the 21st century. But what needs to be done now has to be done. You would ask yourself how efficient it is for the power holding company to distribute bills to houses of everybody at the end of every month. It doesn't matter whether you are living in a low income community or a high income community, they get to your doorsteps. So I think that the data already being used by the PHCN that reaches some of these low income communities can also be borrowed to distribute some of these, cash transfers to the most vulnerable in the community. I don't say that it's going to be easy. It's going to be a tough and difficult process. A few people will sabotage the process. A few people who don't need those funds, would receive those funds. But by and large, it will get to as much people who need them as possible. But this should be a wake-up call to Nigerians to ensure that we collect as much data as possible, so we don't find ourselves in this kind of.
Ayodele Adio, the editor of Avalon Daily, joins me now on Skype to make sense of some of these palliatives. It's good to have you join me right now, Ayodele. Let me come from some of the palliatives, the food and the monies that are being distributed to Nigerians. I wonder if you have heard complaints from people generally, or maybe even on social media, how it is being distributed, how some persons are not getting, and how the criteria are not right. What do you make?
I mean, there's no doubt about the fact that a lot of people have found it very difficult to access some of these palliatives that are being distributed by both the federal and the state's government. And it's easy to understand why. It's not data driven. We have refused to collect as much data as we should in at least the last 20 years of this democratic exercise. And now we're feeling the brunt of it. We can't access the poor and the vulnerable. There's no efficient way to distribute or deliver these palliatives to them without most of them being hijacked by middlemen. So, of course, I'm tired. I've been inundated. People see your face on TV and they call you and they ask if you know where they can get such a palliative, if you know a senior person in government who can help them to access that kind of thing. So all I've heard is complaints. I'm not sure I know anybody who's received. Of course, I think I've seen a couple of people on social media who, have said they know a neighbor or two who have accessed it, but I think the distribution is not efficient. And it's a testament to a lack of collection of data over time, and it's come to haunt us.
All right, now let's come to Nigerians themselves, for whom all of this, from the stay-at-home order, from the palliatives and all of that, for whom these issues are for. We understand that a celebrity organized a party over the weekend, and he has been generating a lot of backlash from Nigerians on social media. When it comes to understanding or taking these things seriously, how do you think that a lot of Nigerians are taking this?
You see, I think you can look at this in two ways. First of all, you have heard, and I'm sure you have heard this over time in your career as a journalist, when you're being told that the reasons why Nigerians do not vote intelligently is because there are a lot of uneducated people who do not have a grasp or understanding of policy. And that if we have more educated people in the country, they will make better decisions and we can move the country in a better direction. But alas, here we are. It seems to me like the more educated people in Nigeria seem to be the ones dropping the ball, seems to be the ones who are denying information of their travel history to complicate the work of health professionals in hospitals and put their lives at risk. It seems to be our elite who are organizing Old Boy Association meetings at the time of a pandemic. It seems to be our elite who are organizing rallies and campaigns at this very difficult period. It seems to be our celebrities who are holding or organizing house parties where you have tens and tens of people in attendance and still have the temerity to post it on social media. So here we are, the cookies are cracking. It tells you that something is practically wrong with our culture and our values here, where even the most educated Nigerians do not seem to be capable of suppressing temporal desires for the long-term benefit of the community. And it's a complete shame, because when you see celebrities or when you see politicians or when you see senior citizens or elites in your community disobeying clear regulation, then it communicates something to the common man on the streets. It tells him, it feeds the conspiracy theory that these things does not actually exist, and he can be put a laissez-faire attitude about the whole situation. And I think I find it very sad that at the time of a global pandemic that is killing tens of thousands of people globally, people who otherwise should know better are not behaving in the right manner, and these things have consequences. And I
All
hope
right.
that it doesn't haunt us.
All right. Thank you very much, Ayodele Adio, Managing Editor, Avalon Daily. Thank you very much for talking to us.